so first of all, we've got our tins. Now, I'll try that again. Walk along. Absolutely perfect. Oh my word.
What?
There's a pig out. There's someone dressed as a pig. Oh, that was a big plop of white, wasn't it?
It's a woman dressed as a pig.
It's a woman dressed as a pig, and she's going to hold up a sign. It says, gosh, that one's reluctant. Ooh, ooh. Oh my word, I think I need that. This is hilarious. Oh, I think it's a Nanan. It is for next door because I can see their names on it. Right, I don't recommend dropping your lemon on the floor. Ooh. Oh, blimey, I nearly dropped the bowl. I'm now covered in lemon juice. I'll smell nice for the rest of the day, won't I?
Welcome, everybody, to episode 148. Wow!
We're nearly on 150.
I know. And do you know, it seems like 2 minutes since we were on episode 100.
It does.
Time flies.
Yeah, it does.
When you're having fun, because that was the moment. Sort of around that moment, it takes time to really learn how to. It's more the sort of production side and, getting everything. So it was exactly how, and really, actually, I was just thinking the other day, it's interesting how, things happen that put you in situations that you didn't expect. Because really, this, for me, where we are now, where we, produce the show from, it just, everything for me came together then.
Yeah.
And it's funny because it was, it was something we'd never really considered.
Filming in here?
Yes.
No, we hadn't, and I think it's only... Did I suggest it?
Yes.
Ah.
Well, hey.
You see, I do have the occasional good idea.
Now then, how was your Easter? Different, I'll bet.
Different. Yes, I hope you still managed to have an egg or two.
Now, we used to roll eggs down a hill outside our house. That's gone now. If you saw the Christmas special, there was a little hill. The hill was actually made by my uncle's builders when they were building the house. They put. So
it's like a spoil heap.
It was, and it grassed over and actually gave a bit of privacy on the garden. So they left it there, and it used to grow up with nettles and all sorts and bracken, and it wasn't a particularly nice place. But then every Easter it would get cut down, or at least a path up to the top of the hill, and then there would be a track that was made, normally with a scythe.
A scythe?
Yeah, because strimmers. Back then, strimmers weren't a thing.
No, it was like Little House on the Prairie.
So you get a scythe, and I remember using a scythe. I remember being given a lesson on how to use a scythe. You twist your body. Yeah. Twist your body.
Right.
Because otherwise, if you start doing that, that's when you start scything your legs.
Oh,
bad idea.
Word.
So a racetrack would be formed.
Right.
Me and my brothers would go to the top of the hill. We'd have already boiled an egg. Yeah. We would have painted it.
Hard-boiled eggs that you painted.
Hard-boiled egg. Yeah. Painted, and then we raced them down the hill.
Right.
And the one that won got an extra Easter egg.
Not the hard-boiled ones.
No.
Do you mean a chocolate one? I was going to say, I'm not sure how thrilled you would be with hard-boiled actual eggs.
Oh, but do you remember on picnics? Did you take hard-boiled eggs?
We have. I mean, we've taken.
I was meaning when you were young.
Didn't go on picnics.
Oh, okay.
No.
Oh, look, let's not go down that road.
Let's not go down what I didn't do when I was a child.
Because perhaps that's a conversation that should be had with a therapist. But we used to, when I was young, it was like, and I'm sure it would be the same for lots of you, one of the sort of stock things. And I used to love it.
Oh, hard-boiled eggs.
My mum would get out a plastic bag with hard-boiled eggs that you'd open up.
Yeah.
And then,
put a bit of salt on.
Yeah.
Put a bit of salt on them.
Yeah.
You see, I'd want some salad cream to dip them in now. Oh, I love that. Oh, no, hard-boiled eggs dipped in salad cream. Yummy.
Oh, no. Now, nothing wrong with that. I've got no issue with that.
Oh, no, it's yummy.
But unfortunately, that reminds me of the egg mayonnaise incident.
Oh, yeah, I don't like mayonnaise. Well, full stop.
The egg mayonnaise incident happened for me
egg sandwiches
in Paris
are not my thing.
When I was very young. and I was out with my brothers and my parents.
You know, that already sounds more glamorous than most people's lives, doesn't it? It happened in Paris when I was young. You know,
we'd gone out.
We were walking by the Seine.
We probably had been, to be honest. I think we were. We went into a cafe and we had. I had some egg mayonnaise, and it was fresh egg mayonnaise, and the eggs weren't right. I wasn't well afterwards. So the romantic, sane French cafe walk becomes not so pleasant.
I'd never choose egg mayonnaise on a sandwich, I've got to say.
It wasn't a sandwich.
What was it? Just egg mayonnaise in a bowl?
It was weird. It was a weird thing going on because it was a fairly posh restaurant.
It's an odd thing to choose as a child.
Yeah, I know. I'm not certain I did choose that.
Yeah, maybe the options were kind of limited where you were.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah.
Folks, what an Kate mentioned chocolate. My goodness, you did. You said, I hope you'd had an egg or two.
Yeah.
Well, I had an egg, plus somebody bought me a box of Hotel Chocolatier's Table.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow. What a box of chocolates.
It's a huge box of chocolates.
It's just stunning. And what I love about it is, one of the first ones that I had was a posh Malteser. And
you said it was lovely.
It was lovely because, first of all, I'd already had 5 normal Maltesers that day.
Just by chance, actually.
The box of chocolates turned up the same day.
Yeah.
And I thought, ooh, perfect. I'll have another Malteser. And the difference, what it did was it sort of showed in a really easy to understand way, because sometimes chocolates can be quite complex, like that alcoholic one that nearly knocked me for 6.
You had a mojito one, didn't you? You were like...
Honestly.
There was so much rum.
Talk about feel the burn.
Is it rum?
No.
It is rum, isn't it? Rum in a mojito.
No.
You said it was rum because I said, oh, is it gin? And you said, no, it's rum.
Okay, it's rum then.
Oh, I don't know.
We got it mixed up.
I don't know what a mojito tastes like or anything. I don't like rum. I don't like gin, so I would never...
I remember once in our youth...
In our youth?
When we were younger...
in Paris.
When we were courting.
You and me.
Yes,
oh, right.
You and me, me and you.
We've never had a mojito.
Lots to see and lots to do. That was a children's TV programme.
We did have cocktails. Are you talking about that?
We bought a ready-made mojito in a glass bottle.
Did we?
We totally did.
Why did we do that?
Because that's what you used to be like.
That's a bit unfair.
No, I'm not being unfair at all.
I don't recall ever drinking a mojito. It's not my thing.
You enjoyed cocktails.
A Black Russian? Yes.
Yeah, we're talking about cocktails, Kate. No, you did like a cocktail, and that's fine.
Yeah.
Because we had cocktails in that hotel in London.
London, we did.
Yeah, and they cost about £25. I nearly fell off my stool.
I think they were £10 each, weren't they? Which, this was, 15 years ago, so... But that, we were like, oh, what?
Yeah.
£20 for 2 drinks?
That's shocking. Somebody bought me a wonderful box of chocolates, so I had to reciprocate, because it's important, isn't it, at Easter? You know, it's lovely to give. So Kay bought me a stupendous box of chocolates. I bought her a packet of kettle chips and a tin of Spam.
This is absolutely true, everyone.
You may think that's a joke.
Because I can't eat chocolate.
It is not.
So, no, it's true. Because I said, oh, what am I going to have for Easter? You know,
Spam light is what you're going to have for Easter.
I can't have chocolate. And I just said, do you know what? I'll have a big bag of kettle chips because I love crisps. And it's terrible, isn't it? I mean, they're terribly...
I do love crisps.
Oh, I love crisps. They're terribly bad for you, aren't they? But I thought, do you know what? It's Easter. I'll have a big bag of crisps. So you got me salt and
vinegar,
balsamic vinegar kettle chips.
Yes.
Yummy.
Yeah.
And he knows that I'm very partial to tinned meat. You see... This again comes from our childhood. We always used to have tinned meat sandwiches. Can you remember that? I mean, I don't know if anybody still does it. Do you know, like luncheon meat kind of things? Oh, lovely. So we got me a tin of Spam, and I haven't had it yet. I'm saving it for a special occasion.
Yeah, but look, just a plain old tin of Spam, that would not be acceptable for Easter. But Spam Light...
Spam Light.
Now with 80% meat... Now that's classy.
What did it have before?
But yes, we had a different but a lovely Easter.
Like everyone, I would have thought, very different, but, you know, not unpleasant. We decided to just sort of try and cook all together for a change, didn't we? And it was fun. We did a roast chicken, loads of vegetables, and we did pigs in blankets, and Bryony helped, you know, a little bit reluctantly, but she did help. So we had a nice...
And that actually...
nice dinner.
You're the queen of segue today, because that does, link beautifully into the next little thing.
Segways those things you ride?
Yes.
Oh, right.
But they've stolen the name.
Do they still exist?
I'm sure they do.
Oh, right.
But they stole the name. Because a segue...
Stole the name?
Yes.
Right.
A segue is a musical term.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes, so I'm reclaiming it.
Okay.
Although I would guess not a lot of people... Oh, maybe you do know about segways. Why are we talking about segways?
I don't know.
Because I said segue. Kay mentioned there that we all cook together, and it just... I'm calling a meeting once again, because if you recall... maybe a year, 2 years ago, we began, I can't remember exactly what we called it, but it was something like the Bakery Bears Parental Support Group.
Oh, yes.
Yes. I think we even had a Ravelry thread.
Yeah,
Yes,
I remember.
yes.
Was it when we were hitting those kind of teenage years?
Quite possibly. I mentioned this a little bit last time when we were talking about homeschooling, but hats off to everyone who is sort of stepping up, not only in the homeschooling, but also when you're dealing with a young person who you want to, protect and take care of and to parent, as best that you can. In circumstances like this, it can be really quite trying. And predominantly, I think it's because of the sort of boredom that can hit.
Yeah, it's keeping them occupied, isn't it?
Quite
Really?
understandably, isn't it?
Yeah,
that boredom hits,
absolutely.
because you can't even go out.
No, I mean, she's been going for a walk every day. We've been making...
one allocated...
We make sure that she goes for a walk every day.
Through the woods, away from all the people.
Yeah. But other than that, you obviously can't go anywhere. And usually it's now Easter holidays. We're in the second week of the Easter holidays. Normally we're out every day doing things, and that, as long as we get out and do something for a few hours every day, she can then entertain herself the rest of the time. She's really good. She's 14 now. But you've got to do something, haven't you, to help them?
This situation, I think a positive is coming out of it. And I think the positive is coming out of it in that with her doing her schoolwork at home and seeing how having a routine, in this situation has made her day fly.
Yeah.
And it been great.
Yeah.
Because it has. When school is in session and, she's able to go to class online.
Yeah.
I think
it goes really quick.
It's really shown her that by adopting that same approach, and you've been amazing, because Kay's been sharing the knowledge, and you're actually going to show some of the things that you sew, don't you?
Yes,
I'll what's off your sewing?
I do have one thing I'd finished actually that I'd never shown, so I'm going to steal that off Bryony, and I'm going to steal the thing she made as well. I'll show you.
We'll show you later, but Kay's been, which is perfect really, because she's doing textiles GCSE, so that sort of fits.
I got the sewing machine out and we were doing some sewing, because she's not very confident on the sewing machine. When she's used it at school, she's been a bit scared of it. So I thought, well, this is a great time just to get it out, show her, let's do some simple things. And do you know what? She was brilliant. She blew me away, actually. I honestly thought she would struggle a lot more.
It's really good.
And she really embraced it, and she was thrilled with what she made. Absolutely, she was just so pleased with herself, and she did a brilliant job. So we're going to do more of that, definitely.
Which is just superb, just brilliant.
Yeah.
Because the first time that you've ever really done anything quite like that.
Yeah,
before.
And I fully expected her to be really kind of worried, because she does get kind of a bit worked up over stuff, but she just did it,
Cool.
She just did it. And do you know what she said to me yesterday?
What?
I didn't tell you.
No, go. She
was like hugging this thing that she made, and I'll show it you, and she was so pleased with herself, and she went, "You're a great teacher, Mum." I was like, filling up thinking about it now.
And why didn't you tell me?
I forgot to tell you, sorry, you were editing. I didn't want to bother you, and I thought, I'll tell him later, and I forgot, so I've just told you now. Yeah. But how nice is that? And that, again, that's not like her. She's not very good at expressing emotions.
No, well, what happened
verbally.
The other day, we were doing the dishes, and Brian was drying them, and I don't quite know how it happened. It wasn't a conscious decision, but I just thought, I'm going to give her a bit of a pep talk. So just spoke about how, wasn't it wonderful when you were doing schoolwork at home and you saw her having a routine it made your day fly by. Well, the great thing about holiday time is when you're not at school is you can keep that routine, but you can do the things you want to do. Mm-hmm. And, we started talking about what she might want to do. And out of that, she started producing a magazine. The other morning, she then rolls in the morning and says, I know what I'm doing today. I'm going to start writing a book.
We were like, okay.
And it's the book idea is brilliant. Stupendous. We're not going to tell you.
No, we won't tell you. It might become a bestseller and she might be the next J.K. Rowling. You never know.
But seriously, I read this thing. I'm like, this is brilliant. Really good.
And she started writing it. She wrote about 4 pages.
Great style.
Yeah.
She's got a really quirky style with her writing, which is brilliant. And then, to come and embrace the sewing.
Yeah, she did really well.
The point of that talk that I gave her was, take control of your life. And you're always treading a fine line between, you don't want to tip over into being a total adult and being totally boring.
No.
And that then made me think about how hard it is to be a parent, isn't it? And, there'll be grandparents out there who know this, there'll be parents out there who know this, all different types of people out there who have got responsibility for a young person will know this. Because if you tip too far into the friend zone, then you lose all you actually stop being in a position to do the job which you have to do. Yeah. And that job
I've got friends who treat their children like their best friends, and I'm thinking of one in particular, and I think her daughter, since she was about 15, just took her out, they went out kind of sort of clubbing together and treats her just like she's a friend, and that I don't go with that at all.
It's the hardest part of being a parent, I think, is where where you have to step up. And you have to not be that friend, be the parent. But what you're doing for that young person, it's the things that I enjoy about being a teacher. You're shaping a young life, and there's no young life more important than your own children. No, yeah. So there'll be lots of this going on all over the world right now, because there'll be lots of people at home with their children who maybe so enjoy it, embrace it, and out of it may come some good stuff. This is quite the episode.
That's exciting.
I'll tell you why. It's launched already, has it not?
Yes.
The umbrella socks. It's been the biggest build-up to a pattern launch we've ever had.
I know.
The pre-launch work you've done is about 5 times more. I mean, you're always thorough, but I think because this is so different and so new.
Absolutely. I've put a lot more time. Yeah, I have, just because it is something entirely new for me, and I've got them here. So these are my umbrella socks. So this is my toe-up sock pattern, toe-up with a true afterthought heel, and we've got contrast cuffs, heels, and toes in this instance. So I mean, it's taken a lot longer than a normal pattern launch, just because I've tested it so much. I had a big group of testers, and I've had some fantastic feedback, really brilliant. So thank you all so much.
What was really clever about
taking the time?
The testers that you got was a cross section, wasn't it? Yeah,
it was a cross section of people who didn't like toe up or hadn't been successful with toe up, to people who really loved toe up, and wanted to try a different pattern for that. And the feedback I've had has been overwhelmingly positive. And, the things in particular that people have said about it is that the heel fits really well. And also that they really like the bind off, because the bind off doesn't flare. And this is something that I've got another pair here. This is something that I always really disliked, that you get that kind of, you know what I mean by flaring out, don't you? If you've done it before, then you'll know.
You want some tension in the top of a sock, don't you? It wants to feel like it's gripping to me.
Well, you've got to get that happy medium, haven't you, with the top of a sock? You want it to be stretchy enough
to get your foot in.
But conversely, I don't like to see that kind of flare that you get with a lot of the bind offs, like a lot of the really stretchy bind offs.
Yeah.
So I used a bind off that just doesn't have that flare, but is perfectly stretchy, to get over your ankle, and everybody said it stretched really well, didn't have a problem with it, and it's really simple to do as well.
And you've got tutorials in for all of these techniques. Yeah,
there's 4 video tutorials for the Turkish cast on, and then just marking sort of like the heel placement where we're going to put that, and then the afterthought heel and the bind off. So there's full video tutorials on those specific techniques.
And you haven't finished them both yet, have you? No, of course not.
Which?
Because you're knitting me a pair, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm going to show you that in a minute.
Yeah.
So I'm knitting down a pair at the moment because
that's the ultimate test, really.
Yeah, well, it was, because these two pairs that I've knit that I've shown you already, these are 64 stitches. And that's what I normally do when I'm kind of sampling my own pattern. And then I am knitting another pair actually of 64 stitch, the Wizard of Oz ones, you remember I showed you last time, and I'm well on with those. I should have finished those for next time. But I really wanted to try knitting down a pair. I was really sort of nervous about it, let's say, because his feet are so weird, and everybody else that knit a 72 stitch size said they fit great, didn't, and it was all fine. But his instep, Dan's instep, is really wide. So that's why I was just kind of cautious about it. But I've knit the first one and you've tried it on and it fits great. So I'm going to show you that in something that I'm working on right now. But yeah, I mean, the pattern is out.
That's a great new name for our What's on Your Needle section.
What did I say?
Something that I'm working on right now.
Well, there you go.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
So the pattern is out. It's available on Ravelry and it's available on Lovecrafts as normal. If you purchase from Ravelry, there's currently a 10% discount just to celebrate the launch. So there's a 10% discount and that runs sort of through to the end of this weekend until midnight on Sunday, which is the 19th of April. So if you purchase it before midnight on the 19th of April, you'll get a 10% discount. There's no code needed. It just applies automatically at checkout. So the yarn, but unfortunately, what I was going to say actually is I can't do a discount code for Lovecrafts because they just don't have that facility on their website. So I would love to do it, but unfortunately, I'm just not able to. I'm afraid. So I'm sorry about that if you're not on Ravelry. So the yarn that I used for the pattern pair is from Stripy Cat Yarns, and the dyer's name is Sarah, and she's based on the coast, on like the never eat shredded wheat, on the west coast, near kind of the Blackpool area, I think. And it's her yin and yang sock set. She very kindly contacted me yesterday and said that she would like to offer a sock set, as a prize.
How do you win it?
So these are the yarns. You get 2 50-gram skeins. Just fantastic. So I'm going to start a knit along. Yay! So it starts today. So this is a knit along specifically for the umbrella socks. It will begin today and it'll run for about a month. It runs through to the 15th of May. So end of sort of like the day on the 15th of May. So it gives you just over 4 weeks, I think, something like that, 4 or 5 weeks to get a pair knit up. Now, normally we usually say for a knit along you don't have to finish it, but I think because this is a specific thing and it is a quick project, they are much quicker. I would say they're much quicker than knitting your standard heel flap and gusset socks. I find that they go really quick. So to knit a pair in sort of 4 or 5 weeks, I don't think is a problem at all. And I do think sometimes as well, if you've got that target to aim for, it sort of G's you on to get something finished. So it'll be prizes for finished pairs of socks. So there's 2 threads on Ravelry, one for a chatter thread and one for an FO thread. So this sock set from Sarah will be a prize, one of the prizes for the finished objects.
Whoa.
So thank you so much to Sarah for that. It's really kind and it's gorgeous. Oops. It's gorgeous yarn. I loved it and it makes the most fun pair of socks. And there's loads left to make another pair. Because we use contrast cuffs, heels and toes, you've got plenty, I would say, to make 2 pairs of socks, which is just brilliant value, isn't it, to get out of one sort of purchase of yarn. So that's my umbrella socks pattern out now. Join in with the knit along if you would like to. I can't wait to see your yarn choices and, oh, so exciting.
And if you're looking to master the art of knitting socks, oh yes, we've been doing a lot the last 4 weeks to try and keep everybody entertained, and for the world we have made available now 4 series.
Yeah.
And the last series that we just made available, I think it was last Monday, was, unfortunately, as we announced last episode, the New Adventures of the Bakery Bears Season 4 is postponed until it's possible to get out and film again. Because at the moment, it's just not. But as we discovered last episode, we have no concerns about that because the lovely Kay's in the kitchen and we have Pudding Club to see us through. So what we did to make up for the fact that there's no New Adventure Season 4 yet, we've made the gold editions, the extended gold editions, so there's lots more footage. In some cases, there was a behind the scenes actually with the final one in the series of Season 1, and that behind the scenes was about 10 or 15 minutes.
Nice.
So it's 40 minutes long.
Wow.
And what went out in the show was 20 minutes. So you've got 20 minutes of additional footage.
Brilliant.
Normally there's about 10 minutes of additional footage, but there's also loads of additional reading as well. So that is ready and available for everyone to go and watch if you would like. But what's so exciting is for our Bakery Bear patrons, we've also been working extremely hard on some wonderful content, and it's begun this week. The Bakery Bears Knitting University.
Yay!
2 lectures have already taken place.
Yeah.
With your tutor, Kay.
Gosh.
And accompanying the first video, which went out on Tuesday this week, and actually a second one, as I've already said, has gone out on Thursday as well.
Yeah.
Accompanying the first one was a sock pattern,
Yes.
which Kay showed last time. It's the short and sweet socks. So that's exclusively free for all students of the Bakery Bear Knitting University, and that's silver, gold, and platinum Bakery Bear patrons, and they're loving it. The amount of messages I've had already.
It's been great.
Yes.
Thank you all so much for joining in with that. It's been really fun.
And
Hope you're enjoying it.
Well, these are more than tutorials. Some of the comments were, "My goodness, this is in depth." That's what we wanted to do. We wanted to do something because we know, when you've got something that you really enjoy, like knitting, sometimes you want more than just a tutorial. You want to really dig deep and understand, yarn choices and why am I doing this?
Yeah.
And so that's what the Bakery Bears Knitting University is.
And we're working on the second season.
Yeah, second series.
Series. I don't know what the word is really.
Well, it's the second course.
It's course.
In the first
second course.
Sort of
we're starting to
term.
Yeah, we're starting to film that next week, aren't we?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Speaking of knitting, and we've already seen a little bit of what's off your needles, even though they're ones you'd already shown, of course. So don't panic. We've not broken the rules of the Bakery Bears.
No.
Oh no! It's time for us to find out, Kay Jones, what's on your needles?
Well.
What is on your needles?
Well, I'm going to show you the sock that I'm working on for you.
Oh yes.
Because we've been talking about the umbrella socks, so I might as well.
How far through are you on the second one?
I've got the toe.
Okay.
So I might as well just sort of carry on and show you that. So I've started a pair of umbrella socks for Dan. And I went into my stash. Oh, look at my cute bag. This is one of the first bags I think I ever made. It's not got a box bottom or anything. It's just a square bag. And I love this fabric. Isn't it fun? I've been reading... we're on to Little House on the Prairie now, and we're almost through that actually, so we'll be ready for Plum Creek after that. But it kind of reminds me of that, with the carriages and the horses, and I know it's Wild West, which is not actually Little House on the Prairie, is it, strictly speaking, but it kind of reminds me of that. So I love this little bag, so I thought I'd pop them in there. I've finished the first of the socks I'm working on, and I went into my stash to dig out some yarn, and I decided to use some vintage opal, because that's always a treat, isn't it? I do think the older opals, I don't know, they're just slightly different for me. It's like it's a slightly different base or something, but I really love the older opals, and this one's really nice. So for the main body of the sock, I'm using this one. It's an opal, I think it's a Rainforest range, and I think it was from Rainforest 2, and the colour is 5141, and it's called Robin Hood. And even though it's called Robin Hood, there's like a cute squirrel on it. Can you see, if I hold that up, can you see the squirrel in the middle there? And I'm presuming that's what the colourway is based on, because it's all sort of greys and orangey browns, like a squirrel, but he's got very tufty ears, so it must be a very particular type of squirrel. And then for the cuffs, heels and toes, I'm using an Osterman step, and it's like a mixture of sort of greys and blues. It's 0136. And this is the first sock. It's some shorty socks because we're coming into that season now.
Yeah.
You've got short ones on now, haven't you?
Yeah. Shorty ribbed. Perfect.
And he's got shorts on as well.
You're not supposed to tell people that.
Transitioned into shorts.
Not completely. It's only when the temperature gets above like 17 degrees.
I think it's going to be about 17, 18 degrees today.
Yeah.
So that's, it's warm really, that for an April day.
I was trying to do a newsreader job here.
Oh, right.
I was trying to be all smart up here, and I was hoping people would think that I was equally smart down here.
Well, I wish I looked as good as you in shorts. So here's the sock that I've finished for Dan. I don't have blockers big enough. Here's the finished sock. You can see it's just a really short cuff. Here's the lovely umbrella heel. And then the huge long foot and the modified umbrella toe. So the yarn, isn't the yarn lovely?
It is.
You see, this is a good opal yarn for me. You do see a lot these days which are more just sort of fairly plain stripes, but this is what an opal yarn should look like. I just love it, that mixture of greys and creams and the sort of orangey brown, red squirrely look, isn't it? So we tried it on and it fits great. This one has been blocked, but you tried it on before I even washed and blocked it, didn't you? It came fresh off the needles. I said, right, okay, just try it on, do it. And it fit lovely. So I was absolutely thrilled. And you can see, you see what I tried to achieve, and I'm hoping, the feedback tells me that I'm hoping I achieved that, is the heel, it's a all round, it's much bigger than a normal afterthought heel or short row heel or anything like that, something other than a heel flap and gusset. I wanted it to just create more room in depth and sort of in circumference as well, so that what that does is having a sort of a more fully enclosed heel cup, if you like. I find that alleviates the stress around the instep. So it takes away that issue that you can have of overstretching those instep stitches. Now, I mean, everybody's foot is different, and I'm not saying this pattern will suit absolutely everybody, because no pattern does it, at the end of the day? There isn't a pattern out there which will suit every single knitter. But I've done everything I can to ensure that it's going to be something that will suit as many people as I possibly can make it. So that's one sock all finished, and it really didn't take me long at all, not for a pair of socks for Dan. It's just amazing how quickly it goes. And I think it's a combination of the fact that obviously you've not got quite as much knitting to do, because the heel flap and gusset decreases and everything takes quite a bit of time, doesn't it? But also I think it's just the novelty of knitting in a different direction for me. I really like that, and I'm amazed that I'm saying that, because historically I never would have said that. I've never enjoyed toe-up socks, but I just love these, and I've knit almost... You
didn't enjoy toe-up socks though for specific reasons, and what you've tried to do with this sock is to alleviate those problems, like and the stretchy bit and the flaring top.
And for me, I have alleviated those problems, so I'm hoping that I will have for other knitters as well. So again, this is the bind off, which looks to me like a long tail cast on, which is just perfect. And you can see there's tons of stretch there, just perfect, and no flare, and just lovely. So I've cast on the second one, and I've finished the toe, and I've just started working up the foot. So I've got the lovely toe there, and I always mark the front of my sock just with a progress keeper. So, within the pattern, I've actually detailed all the little things that I do that make the process just a little bit simpler and a little bit more kind of like error avoiding. That's not really the right way of saying it, but just all the sort of little things that I do just makes the process much more reliable and takes out the guesswork. That's kind of what I wanted to say. So I'm on with the second one, and hopefully I'll have that finished for next time. It's just incredibly pleasant. I'm using 2.5mm for Dan, because I always use 2.5mm. I do sometimes use 2.25, but generally 2.5mm for Dan's socks. and it's worked out absolutely brilliantly.
That's wonderful.
So Dan Jones,
Yes.
what's on your needles?
It's a massive jumper.
Oh gosh, right.
Just what you want at this time of year.
Yeah, just when it's getting a bit warm.
But I should just get my finger out and get it knit.
Well, it's fine. There's always going to be cold weather coming around the corner, isn't there?
Oh, there is. There absolutely is. I mean, what I've found, what I'm learning is it's the Claire Quad by Tin Can Knits.
Look at that. It looks great.
And, the excuse I give you every time, I'm going to say it again because I just feel guilty, but I'm honestly knitting on this as hard as I can.
Oh,
The thing is, though, I'm just learning. First of all, there's quite a lot of stitches on the needles, more than I think I've ever had before. But I suppose that would make sense because there's colour work going on as well.
There's a lot of stitches, yeah.
Yeah.
But does that decrease? It must decrease as you go, yeah.
Yeah, it decreases when you get into the 1x1 colour work bit.
What? Oh, right, okay.
That sort of corrugated ribbing looking type thing,
yeah,
even though it's not.
The stuff that's somewhere
Sadly,
else.
it's not on anywhere here yet.
Oh, it's on the hat.
It's just on the many hats that I have
That's
knit.
where I know it from.
And I love that now. I didn't. Now I do love that, so I'm really looking forward to getting to that bit, and there'll be lots to do in that bit, and I'm nearly through this bit. This bit sits underneath that bit.
Yeah.
So once I'm through this bit, and I'm just... I want to master the knitting where I've got 3 different colours on the same row.
You're doing a lot of untwisting of yarn, which I find stressful just watching.
Why?
Well, it's not my thing. It just annoys me to have all those yarns.
It doesn't need to stress you out.
I know, I'm just like, oh.
Well,
I suppose I'm just thinking, I would not want to knit that. I know,
Well, that's
which is
fine.
great. It's brilliant that you like to knit it because I'm looking forward to having it. It's a shame I can't try it on just because of the construction. You can't.
how do you feel about those floats?
How do I feel about the floats? I mean, they're nice and stretchy, aren't
Cool.
they?
That's great.
There's plenty of give in them.
I think when
I
it's
think it
blocked...
looks great. I mean, you can tell just by holding it up, really, that... What do you think? I think it looks great.
I think when this
Wait
is
to wear it. I love the pockets. I think the pockets are my favourite.
ingenious.
Can you see the pockets here?
This
Look.
is super clever.
Look. Oh, there's a pocket.
Just don't put anything in it.
Yeah, it's not attached yet, but I love that. I think it's great.
I mean, I won't lie, I do find it really quite challenging, but I suppose I would find it challenging because when I knit the Solia, because I printed the pattern out in black and white, I didn't see the 3rd colour on the middle of the flowers.
Yeah.
And so I missed my one opportunity that I've ever had before when I've knit anything of having 3 colours on the go at the same time. So doing these projects, it's been the first time I've ever had an experience of that, and it is hard, I think. Because, like Kay said, yarn does get twisted and there's techniques you can adopt to avoid that. But at the moment, I always think that you need to focus on getting one thing right first. And you can always untwist your yarn. I'd rather focus on making sure that the fabric is as good as I can make it. And, it needs work. But it's the first time I've done it.
But blocking will, give it a nice soak, and that kind of evens a lot of things up, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it absolutely does. I
mean, it's a huge achievement. There's a lot.
Well, it will be when I finished it.
Look at the knitting. It's just crazy, isn't it? I mean, look, we've got sleeves attached here, pockets, colour work. Isn't it lovely?
What I've done wrong is I must have... You know how I have different project bags, and I always have a certain project on the go in a certain bag at a certain time. Well, I just need to have colour work projects on the go all the time, I think. So
right.
I know what I want to knit next.
Oh, right.
And that is I think it's called the Norwegian Cowl. And I'm pretty sure it was Adele Murray. I hope I pronounced your name right.
That. Norwegian Cowl.
Yeah.
Right.
She recommended it. And
what yarn is that?
It's just been so long, I can't remember anymore.
Well, I don't think we've told everybody what the yarn is.
It's Drops
Charisma.
Yes, you know. Of course you do.
Drops Charisma.
You've only seen it.
So it's a DK weight. Lovely yarn.
I must cast that on because a bit like socks, going through the whole process of getting better at knitting socks, repetition has been the key. And it's the same with colourwork. I messed up slightly in that I had a load of colourwork projects on the go when I was down at the bottom of this. And then you get up to the meaty end where, you're going to have to do the majority of the tricky stuff. And I've done all those colourwork projects and, I've sort of forgotten. Yes, I've learned lots from those, but I think that Norwegian Cowl will be a good one because I think it'll last a little while. It's a small project, so there's not. And also, I think it's something you probably wear. It's very pretty.
Oh, I love cowls.
Yeah. So, and we sort of, when we spoke before, didn't we? We came to the conclusion that the cowl was the right way forward because we're just overloaded with hats.
We've got a lot of hats.
Yeah, I mean, what do you have the most of?
And then I end up wearing like the same 2 hats all the time. And I've still not knit that grey hat that I really want. So yeah.
Oh no.
I want a grey fingering weight hat. I've spoke about it before, but I've just not got around to it yet.
What do you have a lot of? I was thinking the other day, as a knitter, because I think you would guess, wouldn't you, that maybe it will be a mixture of some people will have lots of hats, some people will have lots of socks.
Socks will be high on the list.
And anyone who has lots of jumpers, I'm not talking to.
There will be a lot of people out there.
Because you're just too clever and too good. It sort of made me pause for thought the other day. I was thinking about what is the best knitted thing. So I don't mean garment.
Right.
Anything.
What, that you've made?
No. What is the best knitted thing?
I don't know what you mean. What do you mean?
Well, I don't know how else to say it. But
what's the best knitted thing?
Yeah, what thing can you knit that is the most useful?
What type of item you mean?
That is the most useful, that you'll get the most wear out of, that, is not sort of stuck in one particular time of year, because you couldn't wear this in the summer.
No. I would say socks.
You're correct.
Are high up there, yeah.
I'd say socks are at the top of the list.
You wear them all year round. There's not many days when you don't wear them.
I think Kay's exactly right. Honestly, I think when it comes to, we all love knitting, don't we? We wouldn't be here if we didn't. It's the thing which I think you can make fit yourself the easiest, which you can wear all year.
It's a quick project.
But also
masses of different yarn to use. It's very economical yarn you can use.
And what I love the most about it is how transformative it is wearing that ahead of a bought sock. It just, perhaps for me, with me having such big feet, I've never really been able to get socks that fit me.
No, and then they wear really quick because they're so stretched on your foot.
Yeah, it really does make me love. I mean, I can't believe I'm saying that, because I went through a real downtime with socks.
Yeah, you did. And you are enjoying your socks. You've got 2 pairs on the go at the minute, haven't you?
Yeah, I've totally come out the other side. I think that once you understand it and you get it and you know how to, all the things that you've helped me with, getting because there's nothing worse, I think, isn't there, than when you knit something and you look at it and whether it be not gauge quite right on colour work, or whether it be you've not quite done your heel turn tight enough, so it's all a bit loose. It's really frustrating, but you power through, you get it right, and then my goodness, it's so rewarding. It
is really rewarding. I would say it's my favourite thing to knit. I think socks, for sure.
Yeah. And on that note, I think we should find out what else is on your needles.
Well, this next thing is not a pair of socks. It's Dan's vest.
Ooh!
I've done some work on this, not as much as I wanted to, only because these past 2 weeks have been, school holidays. I say that in inverted commas.
What should we do today?
Yeah. We sat around the dinner table last night, and I said, what should we do tomorrow? Should we go out for a walk in the woods, and then we'll have a potter around the shops and go in some bookshops and maybe in a cafe?
No.
And they both looked at me and went, what are you talking about? I said,
she was being
just
silly.
Daydreaming. But yes, it's Dan's vest, and like I say, I've not done as much on it as I would want, because it's the type of project where I really have to sit and focus. And I've not had that space of time to do that very much these past couple of weeks, but I have managed to get to almost the, what do they call it in the pattern, where you start decreasing for this bit, shape armholes. There you go. I've nearly got to the bit where we start shaping for the armholes. I did put a little marker where I stopped last time, so you can see, if you can see, oh, you might not be able to see that marker. It's not a very obvious marker. It's a little one just here. So I've done about 3-4 inches since last time, so that's not bad, is it? But I should have just got a bit further. But I am almost to the point where I start decreasing here on the sides for the armholes. I think I've got about another 1/2 inch, that's all to go. Because what I did, I mean, although I have looked at the pattern, although it tells me in centimetres, and I just can't, I don't think in centimetres at all. It says I have to stop when I'm 40, oh, it's the same for all the sizes. That's a bit weird. Continuing pattern until work measures 42 centimetres from beginning. That's obviously a tricky word for me. So what's odd that all of the sizes are the same length, isn't it, that? But anyway, I'm paying no attention to that. I don't even know what 42 centimetres is, to be quite honest. What I did was I measured Dan's other vest, the green one, and it's 17 centimetres from where the armhole shaping starts to the bottom. So I'm bearing in mind that this is a superwash yarn and it will stretch a bit. I'm currently at 16 inches. So I think I'm just going to go maybe another 4 rows, which is probably be about 1/2 inch, so that then I've got that bit of give. Because although it is superwash, it doesn't, this, what yarn is this Drops Charisma? Gosh, it's like the Drops Charisma show, isn't it? I think it is, isn't it? It is, it's Drops Charisma, colour 21. So although it is a superwash, I don't find that it reacts like a norm, you know, like a sort of, if you buy a skein of Madeline Tosh, for example, or Malabrigo, I find that they do stretch a lot. This one, I don't find that it stretches out too much. So I think I'm going to go to about 16.5 inches, so just a few more rows. And then I'll be ready to start the shaping. But look, isn't it lovely?
Yes.
Do you love it?
Yes.
Oh, I love it. I'm still really enjoying it. It's an 8-row pattern repeat, which it's just perfect because I can get those 8 rows done. If I'm completely focused on it and I'm not distracted by other things, I can get them done in maybe in an hour and a quarter, which probably sounds a lot of time for just 8 rows. But none of the rows are just straight purls, for example. Even on the reverse rows, you're constantly changing because it's knit one, purl one here, and then you've got to follow your knits and purls for that and this, and then this section where the cables are is the only bit where you get a nice little stretch of just plain purls or plain knits. That's only about 50 stitches, I think. So it's very time consuming, and I'm not the fastest of knitters, but that's fine. I don't mind that it's taking that bit of time. I'm really enjoying that I'm putting so much effort and time into it because I know it's something that he's going to wear and you're just going to love it, aren't you?
Yes.
And this one's actually, because it's DK weight, your other one was an Aran weight, so
right.
It's a bit lighter.
Ah.
So, you know, you get away with wearing it when it's maybe, you know...
I'll probably wear that on more then.
Maybe you will, yeah. And the colour's great, I think, for...
Yeah.
A sort of neutral, isn't it, to wear with as many things as possible. So this pattern is, I've shown you before, but it's a vintage pattern.
His and hers Aran vest with neck options.
Yes, here it is. It's a Peyton's pattern.
What are you wearing today? This is his and hers Aran vest with neck options.
We should come up with a name for it, shouldn't we? So it's this pattern.
Yes, we definitely need to come up with a name for it.
Yeah, let's come up with a name for it. And then we can call it that, can't we? What should we call it?
Oh, well, it's latticey, isn't it?
No, it's not. It's honeycomb.
Right.
That's called a honeycomb cable, this middle bit. So we could call it the honeycomb vest. You see, I'm calling it a vest, but really we would call it a tank top. It is described as a vest on here. But I think this pattern, because the yarn that it uses is Peyton's Totem, which I think somebody told me you can still get it. But I think it's generally more available in Australia. I don't know if this, this pattern was more available in Australia. I'm not sure. because it's called they do call it a vest. I just don't know that we would call it a vest really, but to us it's a tank top, so I'm going to call it a tank top. I'm going to call it the honeycomb tank top.
Okay.
There you go, we've thought of a name. And I'm using my lovely higher bamboo needles. Oh, I love these. This is an interchangeable set that I've got. And I'm using one needle down from the recommended. I'm using a 3.75 because that's what I got gauge with. The pattern is for a 4mm. And I love the fabric. It's a really nice, it's just a nice feeling fabric. It's not gapey, it's not, it's just really lovely. Don't you love moss stitch? Look at that. And look at the cables and the, oh, I love it. And I love working on it, and I've just been sad that I haven't been able to do as much as I wanted. But I'm hoping the next time I show you, maybe I won't show you until I've finished the back. So that might be a good little target for me.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping this will be a gift for Dan's birthday in October. And I'm using
It'll be a lovely gift. It will be.
Yeah, it will be a lovely gift.
Yeah.
There's lots of cabling in this, but they're all really simple. They're all either 2x2 crossovers or 1x1. So a lot of people wouldn't even use a cable needle for that, I know,
right.
But I do, even for the 1x1 crosses, for those, which is this twisted sort of ferny bit there. Can you see?
Why would you not?
I always use a cable needle.
But why would you not take the excuse to have another colourful, fun notion? Do you know what I mean?
In a cable needle?
Yes.
Because people find them a bit of a faff, and
well, that's fine.
I think they feel that it's quicker.
But
not using a cable needle. Oh,
look at that!
Absolutely, each to their own. But I prefer. I use this one, which is a clover, and it's actually quite a small one. I'm not sure what the millimetre is. I think it's like 3mm. I actually prefer using a smaller cable needle than my needle size. I'm not sure why that is. I just find it. If I'd used because I don't think you can get a 3.75 cable needle. I'd have to use a 4mm, and that means that when you push it onto your stitches, you're stretching them slightly because your stitches are slightly smaller than 4mm. So I prefer using a smaller one, and because it's only one stitch and two stitches, and this cable needle, they just sit in here. They don't slide away. I don't have any issues.
Perfect.
I just like not having to think. I come across a thing and it's cable 4 back. I know exactly what I've got to do. 2 stitches to the back, knit 2 from the cable needle. Whereas if I wasn't using a cable needle, you have to kind of think, where do those 2 stitches that you take off have to hang, and what do I do? I just have to think too much. So I just like the security of using a cable needle.
Look, it's the Whispers in the Wool socks. Yay. And I'm about 2.5 repeats through, which is cool. And I got very excited on the first one and did a really long. Yeah, that'd be about right. Where am I on the old? Yeah.
You're nearly there.
I am nearly there. Would you believe it?
You know where to finish.
3 repeats.
All right. Okay.
Yeah. Wow, it's so addictive.
Shall I pop this one on a block?
Please.
I don't know that we've ever done that.
Well, you just put it on your foot and hold your foot up.
Well, I could.
No, don't do that.
I'm not going to do that.
It's just, it's so addictive. It really is. Everything about it, there's nothing about it I don't enjoy. And there's nothing better, I think, than patterns like that. I was always quite sceptical about having nothing on the back, but
it looks
actually,
lovely.
The having nothing on the back, it gives you that sort of mental space to then get ready to do the front bit brilliant again. And it just looks great too, I think.
They're lovely. I can't wait to have these. I might save them for Christmas or something. Harry Potter's very Christmassy kind of, isn't it?
The whole twisty thing is just great. I really enjoy doing those twisted stitches. You can't beat something that looks like a cable that doesn't require any work, really. I find it interesting that I appear to have not made any mistakes on this sock yet.
No.
You'll see how I put the yet in. And historically, on other patterns, on other simpler patterns, I do tend to make little mistakes. And I wonder if, because it's not challenging me enough, because I think we all need to understand how our brains work. I speak about this all the time, and I need something a bit more challenging. If I don't get that, I think my mind wanders.
Yeah, I've heard people say that before.
Yeah.
Look, I've twisted it round so that you can see this is what runs down the top of the sock. That just looked weird then.
Why?
It's not. Can you see the grey specks in the yarn?
Yeah.
It just made it look like they were eyelets for some reason.
They're not,
no,
are they?
No, it's not. There you go.
That's just what you need.
Sorry.
The designer looking at the sock and saying, that looks weird.
It was the grey specks in the yarn.
Talk about raising your stress levels. Knitting's supposed to be relaxing. And that's what this is, which is just wonderful.
Yarn's fabulous.
It is truly great.
I'm going to have to get some more of this yarn.
Yeah, more of the yarn and use it.
Yeah,
would it be good for colour work?
It'd be brilliant for colour work, I think. It's Regia. It's the Merino Yak 4-ply. It's gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous yarn.
I've decided.
It's the colourway.
I need to see that. I think it's this weight yarn that Norwegian Cowl uses.
Oh, well, if it is, I'll get you some of that because it's just gorgeous.
I think definitely fingering weight projects.
It's absolutely fine on my neck.
Projects.
You know, I'm funny with alpaca, so I have to be careful, but this feels fine. I think it's 15% yak. Gorgeous. It's just it's so plump and it just produces such a lovely fabric, and it's got those little flecks of colour.
Yeah.
It's very heathered. It's beautiful, absolutely beautiful yarn.
What I love about DPN sock knitting as well is, and I think this has been the other thing which has transformed my wanting to sock knit or not. I can stop halfway through the challenging bit.
Yeah.
So, if I need to go do something or just need to just stop and have a breather for a second and just think about what I'm doing, I just having that break part way through really works for me.
You've only got to do 16 stitches at a time.
Yeah. And when you break it down into 4 lots of whatever size, obviously you're knitting, it's not a lot to think about. It really isn't.
That's true.
And I'm so proud of
ladders. It's just brilliant. Really great work. I mean, look.
Because I wasn't great.
Isn't it just gorgeous knitting?
I'm telling you, what has helped me with that is me messing up the sleeves on the Clairquot and having to re-knit them. I'm absolutely convinced that going through the process of that and thinking about not getting any ladders really helped me with my socks. Because really, since I did that, I've not... sometimes pearls sometimes can be really challenging depending on where they fall.
Yeah, I think DPN knitting, if you're starting with a pearl stitch, it can be quite tricky, I think. So, I don't think with this, there are any... No, because I always do try and border. Whenever there's pearl stitches, I try not for a pattern, a row to begin with pearl stitches.
I don't think there is on either of the socks, but I think what has got me a little bit on the Nutkin socks is the pearls that are 2 after.
Right.
I think as you get through a needle, and this is, one of the benefits of magic loop knitting. You've just got 2 needles there, and you've got that great big loop keeping everything in check. I think these sort of danger points, it takes 4 or 5 for me to get, for the tension to be back and everything to be okay again. You've really got to concentrate on those changeovers. But with this pattern, it just happens. It's great. I love it.
And I do, when I design things as well, I'm always aware of where the centre point falls. So, this point here, because even if you're not working on DPNs, when you...
Don't want to yarn over, right?
No, because when you're working the gusset decreases, you've changed the orientation of the sock, and this becomes the point where you are changing, that's the end of your needles there. So I'm always aware of that centre point, and I never want a yarn over to be at the end there, because that's a nightmare, isn't it? Ending with a yarn over or starting with the yarn over can be really tricky. So I'm always conscious of that as well.
It's a great pattern. I'm loving every minute of it. And now I'm keen to find out what else is on your needles.
This is very exciting. I'm really excited about this. This is a new design, and this is the design that will be the platinum pattern for June.
Ooh!
So I'm working on that already. because I had an idea and I just wanted to get going on it really, and I'm really loving how it's coming out. So let me just arrange my yarns. So this is a pattern for a cowl, and the reason I'm doing a cowl is, the reason I'm doing a cowl is twofold actually. One, because I think it's a nice light project for working at that time of year, because this is coming out beginning of June and we're getting into that warmer weather, and I think it's just a lighter project to work on, so I think that's really nice. And also I just love cowls. You know, I think as a designer you should always design things that you really love, because then you know that it's the best you can possibly make it. Do you understand what I'm trying to say with that? You know, if I try to design a jumper, for example, you know, that's just not my, you know, I'm not generally, as you know, a garment knitter, so it's just not my thing. So I really think it's beneficial to kind of stick to the things that you love and that you're passionate about. And I love cowls, and actually I've got behind me, I was going to put it on but it's a bit too warm. This is probably my most worn item, I would think, out of everything I've knit, and it's my philosopher's cowl. This was a design, gosh, from, it must be a couple of years ago now, if not a little bit more. But it's a fingering weight cowl, and I knit this all with yarns that I dyed, and they're all Harry Potter colourways. I did do a few sets of these at the time. And you graduate, you blend the colours as you go. I wear this all the time, honestly, all the time. I absolutely love it. It's just the most perfect thing. You stick it over your head, keeps you warm, you don't have to fuss with it. It's brilliant. I really love it. So I thought, do you know what, I want to design another fingering weight cowl. So my inspiration for the theme of it came from some yarn, which is often the case. And I bought this yarn recently. You might remember me showing it to you actually. It's from the Uncommon thread, and it's the Uncommon Everyday. So it's 100% superwash merino, 400 metres. And the colourway is Nimbo Stratus. So that's a cloud. Nimbo Stratus is a type of cloud. And I'd got that in my head that I wanted to produce something to do with rain, you know, summer rain, that kind of idea. And this is the colour. It's just like a lovely sort of tonal mid-grey. Really pretty. So I thought, right, I'm going to design a cowl that uses bands of a design that looks like big fat raindrops. And then the alternate bands is going to be shades of sort of minis and scrap bits of yarn that I've got in shades of roses. Can you see where I'm going with this?
Yes.
The design is called Raindrops on Roses. Oh, it makes me want to watch the film. All of those sort of because June obviously is a great time as well for roses. Everything's blooming, but you do get summer rain. Obviously, you know, we get a lot of rain usually all year round, to be honest. But it was that combination of using the rain and then the beautiful roses, and I just love the idea of that. So this is where I'm up to. I'm in a kind of little rose section. So we've got the rib, and the rib I chose, if I hold it up close, can you see? I thought it looked like the stems of roses with thorns on either side. It's like a rose stem ribbing is what I've called it. And then the grey section are these big fat raindrops, which are really fun to work. They're much bigger than normal. And then those will be alternating with these bands of just plain stocking stitch in all different shades of kind of pretty rose colours. So I've decided to go with a theme of like pinks, peaches and lemon roses, because they're my favourites. But I just thought, you know, my mind was just sort of buzzing with the ideas of what people could use. You know, you will need one full skein for your clouds, whatever colour you want to do for your raindrops sort of colour. And then I'm using, so far they've all been 20 gram minis. I'm using 20 gram minis for all of the different colours. This one, the ribbing one, was a West Green Loft, I believe, from a set. This one is a Sherry Iris. One of her, I think it was the Spring Celebration box. Lovely peaches and pinks. And then I've got this one, which was one from my advent calendar last year. Lovely yellows. And I think that was from the advent calendar as well. Some gorgeous peaches, and then another lovely pink from Sherry. So those are the kinds of colours I'm going with. But if your palette is more rich colours, there's obviously lots of beautiful roses which are more like deep colours, crimsons and golds and, deep sort of almost purple colours. Then you could go down that route and use a paler coloured grey maybe as the contrast. There's lots, it gives you lots of options, and I think it's very fun to play with all of these colours and yarns. And I really like the combination of having to think about something when you work in the grey sections, but then having just some lovely stocking stitch to work after that. And then I'm going to, there'll be alternating sections of this, and then there'll be another ribbon at the top. I'm not sure how long I'm going to make it. Quite long, I think, because I really like the length of my Philosopher's Cowl, and that is quite long. And I've got, plenty of yarn. I've got 100 grams of this, and then I'm just using minis for the other. I won't use all of the 20 grams, I don't think. There will be some leftovers, so there's scope for using leftovers as well. Doesn't have to be minis. So this is Raindrops on Roses, and it'll be the June platinum pattern for our patrons. Loving it.
And it's gorgeous.
It is, it's lovely. And I'm actually using a needle that I thought I would hate, because I'm using 3.25mm.
They got stubby ends
though. Yeah, well they do. It's 16-inch. They're all that big. Yeah, then they're carbons, they're Knit Pro carbons, because that's the only one I had in 3.25mm. And I was like, I've
never seen you knit with those before.
No, I might not have. I think I must have. I think I knit the Philosopher's Cowl with these, because that's 3.25mm, and these are the only ones I could find. It might be that I've got another pair somewhere and I just can't find them. But I thought, right, okay, I don't want to wait to get some needles, and I've got this pair. I'll start it with them. But actually, they're all right.
You should do a review on this.
I'm managing okay with them. They're not my favourite, but it's been fine, and I'm doing yarn overs and, decreases, and it's been okay. So I have got another pair now. I did order just some Knit Pro Novas, which is what I normally use, and I have got those, but I just think, well, they're all right. I'm just going to carry on with them, so that's good as well.
Ladies and gentlemen, the bakers of the world have a problem. There's a shortage of flour.
Oh, that's true.
Who knows what all this flour's being used for? Because I'm guessing it's not baking. I have a feeling it's stuck on cupboard shelves.
I think there's a lot on cupboard shelves.
Neil, the flour mills of the world, if you've read the news recently, are working overtime to resolve this problem. Yeah. And we thought it only right that this episode's cake, to help those flour mills get the shelves back stocked, didn't use any flour.
No flour in this one.
Or butter.
Or butter.
So the question is, how is it going to taste? And I'll be honest, we were sceptical.
Well, we were a little bit sceptical. Just because I don't know, we don't normally make cakes in this way. But oh my good grief.
The note I had written down on my page is, prepare to have your mind blown. Yes.
It's beyond delicious.
Folks, this is a day for the history books, because as we hand over to Kay in the kitchen, I promise you, today's the day we change your life.
Who's ready for a brand new season of Pudding Club? Yes, we're heading back into the kitchen for 8 brand new delicious bakes. Every one of them is inspired by the puddings of our youth. And at the end of the series, you can vote for your favourite. In 2019, you crowned Sticky Toffee Pudding your winner. But what will win this year? Let's find out in a brand new season of the Bakery Bears Pudding Club. Welcome everyone to something rather new and exciting, at least in the history of Pudding Club. This is a rather stunning lemon and raspberry Griestorte. What makes this cake so special? Well, it has no flour or butter in it. Now, that name Griestorte sounds awfully posh, doesn't it? The cake originates from Austria, and translated, Gries means semolina and Torte means cake. That gives us a little clue as to what is replacing that flour. Yes, it's semolina and a little ground almonds. This gives us an unimaginably light and airy cake with a deliciously short texture. When you combine that with cream, raspberries and lemon curd, the result is something rather elegant. Enough talk because I really want a slice. So let's get into the kitchen and get baking. Okay, so what we're going to need for our lovely lemon cake. Now, first of all, we're going to need ground almonds and then semolina. And these two items are what are effectively replacing flour in this recipe. We've then got some caster sugar, a lovely lemon. Now, I've got 4 eggs there, as you can see. My eggs aren't very big, they're more kind of small to medium. If you've got large eggs, then you will only need 3, but mine are not very large, so I'm going to use 4. We've then got lemon curd. This is some lovely Sicilian lemon curd, which we've had before and we know is lovely. It's nice and tart. And then a pot of double cream, or you can use whipping cream. Either of those is fine. And then finally, some magically appearing raspberries. I've got about 200 grams here. So what about the baking notions? So first of all, we've got our tins, our cake tins. I've got 2 20cm cake tins here, and it's the ones with the loose bottoms. That's not absolutely essential, but I really like these. It makes the sort of getting out of the cakes really easy. We're going to need a couple of nice roomy mixing bowls, an electric beater, you know, however you want to do that, handheld or countertop. Some weighing scales as usual, and then I always have my spatula, always have a spatula ready when I'm baking. And then we're going to need something to zest your lemon. I've got one of these really fancy microplanes, which are brilliant. I really recommend this if you are looking for something like this. They're on the pricey side, but absolutely fantastic. And then I've just, you know, usual sort of spoons and usual cutlery to help you out along the baking journey. Okay, so let's get baking. Right, the first thing I've got to do is a bit of egg separation. You know we enjoy this, not? So fingers crossed we don't have any disasters. So into one bowl I'm going to put the whites, and into the other bowl I'm going to put the yolks. So as I said before, I've got 4 eggs because they're quite small eggs, these ones. But if you've got really nice large eggs, then just 3 will be fine. So here we go, fingers crossed. I'm going to put the whites into this big bowl. Gosh, these shells are quite thick. It's these fancy organic eggs that I've got again. Oh, that was okay, wasn't it? There we go. Oh, 1 down, 3 to go. Okay, we're going to set the whites aside for a minute and bring in the yolks. And then I'm going to add to the yolks the caster sugar. So let's pop that onto a scale. And it's 100 grams of caster sugar. Nearly there. Oh, 100. Perfect. And now we're going to beat these 2 together until it becomes lovely and light and frothy. So you can see now how that texture's changed. You wouldn't believe that that was just egg yolks and sugar, would you? It's gone lovely and pale and creamy and fluffy. So now to this mixture I need to add my lemon juice. So I'm going to bring in my lemon. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the rind off first, and then we'll get the juice out. So just give it a little roll. If you give your lemons a roll before you juice them, you'll get more juice. So I'm going to just take the zest off first of all. Now I really like this recipe to be quite lemony, and Dan really likes lemon as well, so the recipe really is just half a lemon, but I tend to sort of take most of the zest off and then just use half a lemon for the juice. There we go. And now I'm just going to cut that in half, and I'm just going to juice half of it, and I just juice into my hand and use that as a little strainer. There we go. So now I'm going to take that juice, I'm going to add it to my sugar and eggs, and then I'm going to beat that till it's nice and thick. Okay, so that's our lemon juice in, and what happens when you first add the lemon juice, it goes very liquid, but if you keep beating, it'll come back thick, and you can see now the consistency of that is really nice and thick. So now I'm going to add in that lemon rind, zest I should say really, lemon zest. I'm also now going to fold in the semolina and the ground almonds, so I'm not going to beat these in, I'm going to fold them in. So I'm going to bring in my scales again. So I'm putting ground almonds in first, and I need 15 grams. Okay, I've got 16 there, but that'll be fine. And now I need 50 grams of semolina. There we go. And I'm going to fold those into the mixture. I tend to use a spatula for this. I just find it the most useful tool for most things actually with baking. Just gently fold those ingredients in. Because this cake doesn't contain any flour, what we're actually using as a raising agent, we're just using the power of eggs basically. That's why we've separated them off, because we're now, after we've done this, we will be beating up the egg whites and then folding those in. So it's actually the eggs that are going to provide the lift. So when you fold in this, just be really gentle, because we don't really want to beat out any of that air that we've already got in there. You can see we've got that all nice and folded in now. When you can't see any of the ground almonds or semolina anymore, then that's folded in. So now in a separate bowl, I'm going to whisk up those egg whites. So I've cleaned my beaters. Got to make sure that everything's really clean when we're beating up egg whites, because they don't like any kind of foreign thing in with them, so any other bits of mixture they wouldn't like at all. So I'm just going to beat these up to like the soft peak stage. Okay, so they're lovely and whisked up. You can see there's kind of no movement in them. So that's the stage we want them at. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold the egg whites into our mixture here. So I'm going to do that in kind of stages. Pop a bit of your egg whites in first of all, just to get it going. And you kind of cut and fold. So just keep adding it in. I'll put in a couple of spoons now. This is kind of like a Genoese type sponge, because we've not got any butter. Now in this case there's no flour, because we've replaced that flour with the semolina and the ground almonds. It's a beautifully light mixture, and that's what we're aiming to do. We don't want to get rid of any of that air. It's actually, Genoese is actually a tricky thing to make, because you know, you're not relying on anything other than the eggs. I mean, this one, like I say, hasn't got any flour as well. So I'm going to put that last bit of egg white in. Last fold. And then we can pop it into the tins. Now I've preheated my oven to 180 or 160 fan. So you know, use your own oven knowledge. Because I know that my oven runs a little hot, so I always adjust it a tiny bit. So 180 or 160 fan. And that's degrees C. I hope you can see just how light and fluffy that looks. There's lots of air bubbles, and that's just the way we want it. So once you can't see any of the white, the egg white, any longer, then you know that we've got that all lovely and folded in. I'm nearly there. I can see there's just a tiny bit of white there, so I'm just going to fold that in. So now I'm going to move over to the tins, and I'm going to put half into each tin, and I tend to, you know, do this as gently really as you can. So half into each tin. Nearly there. Let's do a little scrape of the bowl. There we go. And now just really gently push it out to the edges. It's not like a normal sponge, so you've got to be really gentle with it. Just ease it out. And these tins I actually buttered and lined with greaseproof as well, as normal, you know, that's a standard sort of thing. There we go, and the other one, just gently push it out to the sides. And then I'm going to pop these into the oven for about 25 minutes, keep an eye on them. And as soon as they look nice and risen and golden, and when you touch the tops it will bounce back, then they'll be done. There we go. So straight into the oven. Okay, so the cakes are in the oven. Like I said, about 25 minutes. Keep an eye on them. As I was saying, this is a different type of sponge. It can be a bit temperamental, so I'm keeping everything crossed that it works out okay. So I will see you back in part 2 when we'll be getting them out of the oven, and then we're going to be whipping up the filling and putting it all together and tasting it. So I'll see you back soon.
What a fascinating start. My goodness, it's crazy to think, isn't it, after seeing that cake at the start of that first part of Pudding Club, that there's no flour in it. You just wouldn't believe it, would you? But let me tell you, the game changer comes when we try it, because it's the lack of butter that removes this from being the type of cake you expect to being something, as Kay said, rather elegant.
It is. It's really light, you know. You eat it and you don't really know that you're eating it, but the flavour, it's absolutely gorgeous. It really is, and perfect for the sunny weather that, you know, certainly we're having at the moment.
In part 2, we're putting the lemon curd with the cream, which just don't even start me on that. And then raspberries in as well.
That's going to cheer you right up.
Oh my goodness. This is
Delicious.
the type of cake that anytime, anywhere, any place, you can stuff your face with it and not even have to bat an eyelid. So don't miss part 2, because I know that you guys are chomping at the bit to see this sewing that we teased.
Yes.
So you do sew with a needle, so I can say with, you know, complete justification.
Yeah.
Kay Jones, what's off your needle?
Well, before I show you those, I do actually have something that's off my hook.
Well,
I finished this a couple of weeks ago, but for some reason I just forgot to put it into my sort of finished things, and it's because Bryony's been using it every day and I didn't want to take it back off her. But I don't know if you remember, but when I've been working up the granny squares, the crochet granny squares with the Sherry Iris yarn, I'd also started what I said was going to be another blanket using my own hand-dyed yarns. Now, I've kind of forgot about that. I'd done that because I was so focused on using the Sherry Iris yarn. But I found the squares and there was 6 of them. And I just thought, you know what, I think I'm like overcommitting on this. I don't know that I'm really, you know, I think one huge granny square blanket on the go is enough. So I decided just to seam them, just to crochet them all together and make a little toy blanket for Bryony. So I did that and she's been using it every day. This is Big Teddy and Pooh Bear's blanket, so I've just taken it off her. She wasn't happy. I've had to replace it with another blanket just for half an hour while I show you. But here's the little blanket. Oh, it's got a hair on it. That'll be Bryony's. Here's the little blanket. Isn't it sweet? So I dyed all of these yarns. I think this one is Clementine. That one I used for, I don't know if you remember, I knit a pair of socks. I called them my 80s socks.
Yeah.
And they had bright bands on them.
Very cool.
That was the sort of background colour. This was a Harry Potter colour, a Pensive, I believe. This one, that's another Harry Potter colour, but I can't remember what that one was. This is Figgy Pudding, one of my Christmas colourways. And then that last one is, what's that Josh Groban song that's got window in the title?
Higher.
Higher Window. That's Higher Window, the blue. And then I seamed it together using this gorgeous variegated. And I think I really like how it looks with the variegated. This is some leftovers I had from my crunkled socks, if you remember. It's the Sherry Iris yarn. I just think it looks lovely seamed together with a variegated yarn. It just gives a really different look. And then I just did a border of trebles all the way around just to finish it off. And it's just a perfect little toy blanket. She loves it because Bryony does like bright, you know, the brighter colours, and I think that's really nice. So I will give that back to her. Now the sewing. Shall I show you what Bryony made first? So we started off, I thought we'll start off really simply and just to get her confidence up a little bit. So we made a couple of coasters. One she made for you, which was really sweet.
Yes.
You didn't know about it. She was like, when we were looking through all the fabrics, and she spotted one that was Star Wars, and she said, oh, can I make something for Dad? I said, oh, that's great. So I said, should we make him a coaster? So she made that for you, and it's lovely. And then she made this one for herself, and this is from some of the Wizard of Oz fabric. It's just a simple little coaster, and she chose clouds for the background. And it's got some fusible fleece in there, so it's nice and padded. And she did all that herself. And it was great because, you know, I kept saying to her, don't worry if your lines are a little bit wonky. Don't worry, you know, because it'll all be fine. At the end of the day, we'll have something usable. And the most important thing is that you made it. And that's what makes it special. We make things, don't we, because of the love that goes into them and the thought and the effort. We're not looking at how straight her seams are. We're looking at the fact that she took time to make it herself. Every time she looks at it, she's proud of herself for doing that, and I think that's brilliant, isn't it? So we made a couple of coasters one day, and then on another day she wanted to have a go at a pencil case. So again, we chose two. She just wanted 2 different fabrics, one on the front, one on the back. And we chose a different for the lining fabric. Now, we didn't box the bottoms or anything. I thought that would just be a bit too much for her to start off with. So it's just a plain sort of bag. But this is what she made. So again, she wanted the Wizard of Oz fabric on that side, and she wanted peanuts on the other side. Isn't it cute? And we even cut the fabric to get in. She wanted this red band at the top. So we cut the fabric so that would be there. She made a little handle there, and she chose some fabric that's got bees on it. Can you see the little bees? And then inside she wanted a blue zip. Luckily I had one that was just long enough. And then the fabric inside this is from a Beatrix Potter fabric I had. It's just got sort of little flowers on and this nice grey. And she did all that herself. You know, I was there telling her what to do and everything, but I didn't help her at all. She did all of the sewing, just being guided by me. And to put a zip in, I think, is brilliant. You know, she did that all herself. And she was mad because on
You
one of
definitely won some cool points.
On one of the sides, this was the first one that she did top stitching. Well, actually, when she was sewing the zip in, on one side, this side here, she went a bit close to the zip. Can you see that at the end? And, you know, if that had been me, I'd have picked it out and redone it. But I knew it'd still be fine. I knew it'd still work. So I said, no, do you know what? It's fine. Let's leave it as it is. It's not a problem. The zip's still going to unzip. It's totally fine. And then we did the top stitching, and this side she did first, and she was mad because the top stitching's a bit wonky. And again, I said to her, it's completely fine. It doesn't matter. All we're doing, we're getting practice. And at the end of the day, you've done that top stitching. It's holding everything in place. It's completely fine. And then the other side, look how well she did on that side. And I thought, that's brilliant. So I showed her, and I said, you know, the second side is perfect. You've done that brilliantly well. So I'm so proud of her for doing that. I think it's great, and she loves this. And I gave her a little ducky zipper pull to put on it, and she went straight away up to her bedroom and she pulled out all of her pencils and pens that were underneath there, and she chose all of her favourites to put in there. So this is her very best drawing pencil case now for doing her very best drawing. So I was so proud of her for doing that. And then I made a couple of things. I made myself a project bag because, you know, if you remember, I bought this Wizard of Oz fabric I showed you last time, and I really wanted a project bag. So I made myself a lovely project bag with a yellow brick road handle. So it's the same fabric but different sort of pieces of it, front and back. And then a pink zip because why not? And then inside I've got ruby slippers. This is not from the same fabric range, but I just thought ruby slippers was really nice. And this has got my Wizard of Oz socks, which I'll show you next time. I'm hoping to have finished those actually. So that's the bag I made. And then I also made a new phone case. I used to make these when I sold in my shop, sort of, you know, bags in my shop. I made quite a lot of these, and I just made up the pattern. It's not from a pattern or anything. I just made it up, and it's just a little phone case. And the one I've been using I'd had for about 3 years, and it was a bit dog-eaten here, and it got some stains on it. So I thought I'm going to have a new one, and I wanted Wizard of Oz again. So look, I've got lovely Wizard of Oz. And it's got poppers at the top, 2 poppers, and I went for sort of yellow brick road coloured poppers, and a pink version of yellow brick road for the handle. And then your phone, you know, just slots inside. And then the fabric I've got inside is the poppies. Can you see? You can just about see it. And these are brilliant. It's padded, you know, and I've dropped my phone a few times in this case, and it's always been fine. So it's padded. I've used fusible fleece on both the front and the back. And it's just perfect. And it's great when I'm walking because I just put my finger in the little holdy thing, walk along, absolutely perfect. Oh my word.
What?
There's a pig out. There's someone dressed as a pig.
We know
it's your birthday. It must be the neighbours. Your fantastic mum. This is hilarious. Oh, I think it's a nanan. It is for next door because I can see their names on it for being it must be Lauren's birthday. Oh, how sweet is that? Do you know the things that people think of doing in, you know, the situation that we're in?
Happy birthday, Lauren.
Oh, that's so nice. Yeah. Pig interlude aside, I made a phone case and a project bag, and then there's Bryony sewn, as I've said. So,
pig interlude. In 148 episodes, that's one thing I've never heard Kay say before. Is that not the most random thing that has possibly ever happened on the podcast? That somebody dressed as a pig has come next door with a big bunch of balloons and held up signs because it's her birthday. So, pig interlude aside.
Good heavens. Yes. What is it like?
Heavens to Betsy.
Heavens to Betsy.
Are you all finished?
Yes.
Good, because I want to eat cake. And this is the moment when it all comes together. Folks, get the ingredients for this. There's no excuses because you don't need any flour.
No.
Get the ingredients for this, make it, and then eat it all.
Honestly.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
You're going to love it.
It's going to brighten your day.
It is. Let's get back to the kitchen and put it all together.
Welcome back everybody to part 2 of Pudding Club. Now our sponges are out of the oven and they're nice and cool. Now don't panic when you take your sponges out and you think they don't look like they've risen like a normal cake. This isn't a normal sponge cake, you know, we've not got butter, we've not got flour, so they won't rise up huge like a Victoria sponge, but they will be super light and airy, so that's the benefit of this sort of sponge. So we're now ready to whip up the filling, put it all together and give it a taste. So in my bowl I've got my double cream. There's 300 mils of double cream. You can use whipping cream if you prefer. So I'm now going to whip this up to the kind of soft floppy stage. We don't want to overbeat it because you'll very quickly get something that's going to turn into butter if you're not careful. So let's give that a lovely whip. There we go, you can see we've got lovely soft cream there, beautiful. So now what we're going to do, let's move that out of the way. We're going to take our lemon curd and we're going to fold through about 4 tablespoons. It's up to you really, if you like it super lemony then you can put a bit more in, but I'm going to go for like 4 nice tablespoons of lemon curd. Dan's having like a coronary behind me because he loves he loves lemon curd. Try and find, you can of course make your own lemon curd, but you can buy such good ones these days. Just try and find one that's nice and zingy. And then we're just going to fold that through the cream. It doesn't have to be super mixed in. I quite like the marbled effect that you get. I expect Dan could probably eat this just like this. So that's probably mixed enough. I like the sort of swirls of lemon curd that you get by not over mixing it. So now I'm going to bring in the cakes. So I've got my lemon cream and I've got my raspberries. So let's just rearrange ourselves. So I've got my first half of sponge here and I'm going to put about half of the cream into it. This is, I mean, it's quite an indulgent cake, let's be honest, but it's just, you know, it's very light. Even though we've got all of this cream, it's still incredibly light. Perfect for, you know, spring and coming into summer as well. So spread it lovely and thick all the way over, all the way to the edges. So now I'm going to take my raspberries and about half of them, just push them down into the cream. Dan's literally, I can't tell you, he's like looking at this and just about keeling over. It's hilarious. These are all of his favourite things. Raspberries, lemon, cake. Honestly, I think he's just going to stick his face in this, I can see it. So just, I mean, I've done these in a pattern. You don't need to, it's the middle of the cake, it doesn't really matter. But just about half of them, push them down into the cream. Lemon and raspberry is just a winner, isn't it, all around, really. Perfect, there we go. And I'm really pushing those down into the cream. And now I'm going to put the other, in fact, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to take a little bit more cream and just sort of smooth it over the raspberries a little bit, just so that the sponge, the sponge we're going to put on top is not going to be just sitting on sort of dry raspberries, if you know what I mean. There we go. Just sort of cover them over a little bit. And you can see the raspberries have started to ooze already. That's just perfect. So now take your other sponge. Can you see how lovely and light it is, the sponge? There's a lot of movement in it. And now the rest of the cream on top. Oh my word. Let's just pile it all on and then spread it out. we can just spread it around. If you wanted to, you want to be really posh, you could pipe this. And that would be really quite posh, wouldn't it? If you piped it all in pretty decorations. But I'm not that posh, as I think you all know. And I'm just spreading it. But however you do it, you know, it's going to taste the same. I'm more of a kind of country cafe look rather than palace look. So what I am going to do is just swirl around like that. Perfect. And now you can take the rest of your raspberries and pile these in a nice fashion all the way around. It's so pretty, this cake, I think. Just fill in the gaps. Isn't that lovely? Looks so pretty. Now you see, I'm tempted to leave it like that. Should I just put one more in the middle like that? I think I should, shouldn't I? Yeah. So in with a little snowstorm of icing sugar to finish off. Perfect. Okay, it's time to try it. Are you excited? Oh, it looks so nice. It feels really kind of... posh is probably the wrong word, but if you saw this on a cake trolley, I think you would be attracted to it and you'd be like, oh, I totally want a piece of that. So let's give it a go. Dan's going to have a heart attack when he tastes this cake. I'm not kidding you. He's going to say to me, he's going to taste it and he's going to say, that's the best thing I've ever eaten. I'm not kidding. It's fantastic. The sponge it's really light and airy. You kind of hardly know it's there, if you know what I mean, but it adds texture because it's got that semolina in. It adds that bit of texture. It's absolutely gorgeous. The lemon curd comes through amazingly well, cuts through the kind of sweetness. Raspberries are perfect. It's absolutely a complete winner. I can't tell you how much you should make this cake. It's fantastic. So I'm going to hand this over to Dan now because I really want to see what his reaction is. And I will see you back soon for another fantastic pudding club. Perfect. I'm not kidding. It's fantastic.
Now, I shall say nothing more than this. I am not a man like Uriah Heep from David Copperfield. I do not like to know after I've eaten a slice of cake.
That was funny.
I want to eat a slice of cake and feel like I could eat another 6 and not even think about it.
Yes.
And that's what's great about this cake. This cake is unlike anything you have ever made before.
No, that's true. It is the kind of cake that you would expect to have, I don't know, just somewhere a bit more... This is a
restaurant quality cake.
Yeah, I think, and you know, admittedly, there is quite a lot of whipped cream in there.
Yeah, but you've removed all the butter.
Yeah, I think the fact that it's not got any butter in there and it's not got any flour, that's really, I think, what produces the kind of heavy feeling, isn't it, that you can have sometimes after eating some cake. That's just not there with this at all. It's just so light and zingy with the lemon and the raspberries, and then the cream makes it just fluffy, and the sponge is lovely. It's kind of got a bit of texture from the semolina.
Yeah.
but it's just so light. It's gorgeous. It's really gorgeous.
It is. It's just the most lovely thing. And, as Kay said in the show, when you combine lemon curd, lemon with raspberries and cream and cake, how could you possibly go wrong? And also, I think it's important to remember here that the raspberries are, of course, optional. So, you could just make it with lemon curd.
You could, or, you could use blueberries. Blueberries would be lovely. Or you could use strawberries. I don't think I'd use strawberries necessarily, but blueberries I think would work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous. And this for me, I said to Kay the other day after she'd made it, let's think about all the cakes you've ever done and, what are the high points for you? Well, yours, I think, is treacle sponge.
Yeah, I love that.
Treacle sponge and custard. And, you can eat that and it doesn't feel too heavy afterwards, but I would never have 2 portions of that. This, I ate half the cake pretty much.
In a day, he honestly did.
And I had not an issue, not the remotest issue. And that for me is good stuff. That's what I want from my cakes.
There is 1 slice left, which you can finish today.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I've only had 1 slice of it. No, I've only had 1 slice. I try not to eat too much stuff like that, but you can happily finish it.
Folks, it's time for the Endy Bits.
Endy Bits.
Now, the mindfulness Cowl continues.
Yes, finishes on the 8th of May. On May Day. It won't have finished the next time, it'll be the podcast after. So you've still got loads of time to carry on with your mindful projects. Pop photos into that thread and then we'll draw some prizes after that's finished on May Day.
Of course, though, now the umbrella sock, Cal.
Yes, we've also now got
and running.
That ongoing as well. So we've got 2 knit-alongs ongoing at the moment, which, you could combine them, couldn't you, and have this as your mindful project? Absolutely.
Oh, yes.
That would be lovely.
Oh, yes. The race to the moon, of course, continues. So
yes,
please keep, patron knitters, keep piling in those miles. And equally, though, runners and walkers, you're doing a phenomenal job. I think in most places it seems to be that exercise is still absolutely permitted. So, obviously listen to local advice, but clearly you guys are, but you're still getting out there and doing some great miles. I've seen some 9s out there.
9s?
Miles.
Just 9 miles in one go?
Yes.
Wow, that's
some 7s, some 9s.
That's a good distance.
Did you hear our latest radio show? We were talking about what would you do if Doc Brown turned up in his DeLorean and said, where would you like to go? What period of time would you like to go visit? Oh, yes, so that is available right now. You can go and listen to that. And we've got another episode of the show coming out next Friday, and that's going to be an interesting one because it's the first one that we've recorded without the ability to get outside. So what we're going to do is we don't want to leave you high and dry, but we're going to record one show. We're going to be talking about a very special subject. We're going to use all the technology possible to make it feel like we're outside, but then we're going to go on a short hiatus until we can go outside and record again.
Yeah.
But that, folks, I think is it. So much going on.
That's it.
Oh yes, there's
absolutely.
And Knitability just coming together. There's some great interviews in that. The Once Upon a Corgi yarn we've interviewed.
Aww.
She's just back from her honeymoon, which was really cool.
Bryony loves corgis.
Yes.
She watches Stampy, the Minecraft fella, and he's got a corgi. She absolutely loves them.
So Knitability coming out really soon. Knit-U is running as we speak. New design diary coming fairly soon, and another episode of Return to the Centre of the Yoke. Oh yes, I'll be digging deep into how I'm getting on with that lovely clay quad as we approach the steeking. We think we know what we're doing.
I think so.
Yes.
And actually, doing the afterthought heel. No, do you know what's helped me is doing the afterthought heels.
Oh, cutting.
Yeah, because you're cutting the yarn there. And I think it's just learning about how the structure works with yarn. I think it's been really good. And I've been doing a bit more sewing just lately, so I'm feeling a bit more confident about that.
That's good news.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for watching, folks.
Thanks, everybody.
Stay well.
Yes.
Stay happy.
Stay safe.
Oh, yes, we're all here.
Yeah.
Having a lovely time. And we will, of course. Oh, and remember, if you're looking for something to watch, you're not a Bakery Bears patron, there's now 4 things out there. The links to those are in the show notes below. But Bakery Bear patrons, you obviously got loads to watch.
Yeah.
The Knit-U obviously being the centre of all the excitement at the moment. So thank you so much for watching.
Thanks, everyone.
And we'll see you in 2 weeks for more.
See you soon.
Bye.
Sitting and knitting, standing K the bakery prayers. Enthusiasm's Bear's not quitting for Ben and Kate, the bakery bears. They'll take you to fabulous places of which their favorites they'll share. You better buy a pattern and get yourself a bakery bear. You'll find yourself in a castle while watching the bakery bears. It never feels like a hassle to sit and watch the bakery bears. What's on your shelf or what's